Hello and welcome to yet another video from the only source of information that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be about our current world situation again, primarily the current political situation. And I want to start off by reciting a scripture. John chapter 1 and verse 1 says, "In the beginning there was logic, and God was logical, and in fact, logic itself was a God." Now the concept of logical and illogical is used interchangeably with the concepts of light and dark, evil and good and evil, righteous and wicked. And so, I hope everybody out there understands that, because it enrages me to talk to somebody who is incapable of processing logic. It's hard work to try to have a conversation with somebody like that, and it seems to me that everyone should want to live in a logical world, and everyone should recognize that our current world situation is more nonsensical than it was when we were growing up, because it's just things are obviously getting ridiculous. But in the very beginning, John chapter 1 and verse 1 says, "In the beginning there was logic, and God was logical, and in fact logic itself was God." Now I made a video about this. I think it's called John 1:1, so you can go to my YouTube channel, and there's a search box up here, and then there's a little one down here for me. It's search the channel, and just put in the word John, and you can see for yourself why the way I translate it is much more accurate than the way that most English translations of the Bibles present it. But I knew that things were going bad by the reaction that people had to Donald Trump. You know, he was such a divisive figure in American politics that I thought, something's up. You were getting close to the end times or something, because this is quite bizarre. And to prove it, that it was really bizarre, is Donald Trump says he ran on a campaign of, we're going to reduce crime, we're going to improve the economy, we're going to improve the military, we're going to get men out of women's sports. And for some reason, these issues mean something to somebody. You know, I don't understand why anybody would want to increase crime or destroy the economy. But I've also heard politicians make these same promises before, and I thought, well, we'll see. Well, what do you know? Donald Trump won the election, and immediately he's taking actual steps to accomplish all these things he's promised, and after 2 months, you can see the results. He's actually making America great again. You know, if you believe America can be great. I don't participate in politics. My king is Jesus Christ. There's no way in the world I would go down and vote for Richard Nixon to replace Jesus Christ, you know, or Donald Trump, or any whoever the other one was. There was a woman named Harris. So then he said, we're going to go after the corruption. And I thought, finally, here's something. If he actually does this, if he can actually expose, not just expose those who are corrupt, but put them in jail and recover some of the money from America, then the Republicans and the Democrats will be brought together, because nobody likes corruption, and everybody knows the system is corrupt. I mean, when I was a child, I remember every adult I talked to, when I was around, when they were talking about the government, they always talked about how all these politicians were corrupt. So they start going after this corruption stuff, and the Democrats lose their minds. It's like, I have never known of anyone who likes corruption. How did that happen? And I asked a guy that. He came in, he said, oh, this Musk is destroying everything. I said, you know, when I was a kid, people hated corruption. It's weird that now half the world hates corruption, the other half loves it. And he goes, no, it's the way he's doing it. And I thought, well, what way do you do it? he goes to this building, and they got a thing that's saying, we just sent $1 billion to a gay dance party in Thailand. So you think about it, it doesn't cost $1 billion to have a gay dance party in Thailand. If you tell everybody to bring their own beer, all you got to do is rent a building. You know, it was like $100 for a night maybe. So, you know, it's so obvious that this stuff is not really going on that everybody should accept it. There is no billion dollars going to Thailand for a gay dance party. But on the day they sent that money, some corrupt politician or group of corrupt politicians got $1 billion in their bank accounts. Now, I don't care if corrupt politicians have $1 billion in the bank account. It doesn't mean anything to me, but most people are politically active. And they know that they have to know that this stuff is fake. It's called money laundering. And just to explain how that works on a small scale, and it's real, I had a friend that was a truck driver, and one day he was telling me, you know, I had to take a load of oranges from Florida to California. And knowing that Florida grows oranges and California grows oranges and they're the same exact oranges, I thought, that is just crazy. He's like, no, you don't understand. It's worse than that. I drove from Florida to California with oranges. They unloaded the truck, peeled all the little Florida orange stickers off, put little California orange stickers on, and they put them in new boxes and sent him back to the exact same place where he had brought the oranges to before. And the weird thing about it is the guy says, I don't know how they make money doing that. Well, I'm not the brightest bulb in the bunch, but I can tell you this. They're not making money doing that. This is a guy who's running drugs or something illegal, but he has to explain where the money's going or where the money's coming from, and so he sets up a corporation. That mobsters do this kind of stuff all the time with restaurants and bars, and the restaurants may not make a dollar. But whenever they say, where did you get this $1 billion? They say, oh, I own a restaurant, you know, I own a trucking company. Knowing that the trucking company is just a front, it's just something that they have going so that people don't question them too much. Well, it's the same thing with this Doge stuff. It's like people are going, as an American, I don't want my money going to a gay dance party in Thailand. That's not what's happening. The money is not, I can promise you, no one's sending $1 billion to a gay dance party. If you trace it, it seems to me obvious that it should be easy to figure out where this money's going, because $1 billion disappears from this USAID, and then the next day, a dozen or so politicians have $1 billion in their bank account. You know, this is not rocket science, but we fortunately do have a rocket scientist that's going to fix this stuff. And lo and behold, unbelievable, but people are screaming, we want corruption. We don't want corruption, but we don't want it to be fixed by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is like the only guy that's immune. He's already rich. He doesn't need to go pull any scams. He's making money doing real stuff. And so you can trust him to go in and just go through these records and trust that he's not going to steal my credit card or my bank account information or any of that stuff, because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But it blew my mind, because it's like, how could anybody join a team against ending corruption? That's so weird. And look, I don't really like, I can't say I don't like him and I don't dislike him, because he's just a guy. I've never met him. He seems to be doing a good job as a president. He's the only president in my lifetime that's ever done any job. So, you know, everybody should be happy. Why they're not, who knows? But I'll explain that all to you right now. In the Bible, there were two political parties. Well, in France, there's two political parties. In Egypt, there's two. Every country on earth has, it's always been that way, two political parties. And so the one party in Judea in Jesus' day was called the Sadducees, and the other was called the Pharisees. The Pharisees are like they were conservatives. They're like our Republicans in the United States. Sadducees were like the Democrats. And I mean, they're really, really like them. The Pharisees, the word Pharisees is actually from the Greek word pharisaios, which means letter of the law. And that's kind of the way these Republicans act. They're like, no, we're not going to look at this law and decide to make a different decision. The law's written exactly as it should be interpreted. You did the crime, you do the time, and that's the end of that. Now the Sadducees, the word Sadducees, it comes from the Greek word sadukeos. And sadukeos means the spirit of the law. And so that's kind of like the way that the Democrats are. They're like, yeah, it says you can't commit murder. If you commit murder, you go to jail. But we're going to try a new program where everyone who commits murder, you scare them. You tell them, you're going to go to jail. And then you bring them to court and you go, just kidding. Go on out and live a good life. And promise me you won't commit another murder or you won't rob another liquor store. It's like, I guess every effort has been made by every government that's ever existed to reduce crime. So all of these techniques of just letting criminals roam free have already been tried. They don't work. It's 6,000 years. That's never worked. Why they're still trying it, I don't know. But the thing is that these criminals, or these Democrats and Republicans, looks very similar to Sadducees and Pharisees. That's the way they operated. The word ferocios that Pharisees comes from actually is where we get our English word ferocious. And the word Sadducees, which comes from the word sadukeos, is where we get our English word seductive. So the ferocious and the seductive. And I always felt like that was a pretty good, reasonable word association, because it kind of is the way people feel about the political parties, I guess. But another word, two other words that we have in our English language, which describe the two political parties, is Republican and Democrat. So where do those words come from? Republican is from the Latin. It's from the words res and publicus. Res means, R-E-H-S, I think is how it's spelled. Res means entity, and publicus means the public. So it's the public acting as a single entity, which just simply means government. A government of the people, by the people, for the people, that kind of stuff. But if you look up the word Democrat on Google, just Google Democrat word origin, it tells you that Democrat means of the people, by the people, for the people. It's ruled by the people. So I broke it down, because I actually use a lot of Greek to decipher the Bible, because part of it was originally written in Greek. And the word is daimon kriteo. And you can look in any kind of Bible literature about, like a Bible dictionary or Bible encyclopedia. And daimon is where we get our word demon. And kriteo, they say, means ruled by. So ruled by the people, but it's actually ruled by the demons. And since the word kriteo is closely related to our word credo, which is your word, your bond, your creed, your religion, basically Democrat means demon worshipers, or ruled by demons, or controlled by demons. Now, there is a word that they suggest it comes from, which is demos. Their explanation for demos is that demos means people. No, there's about 3 different words that can be translated as people, or crowd, or groups. Like the word, I can't think of it now. The word for congregation is actually ecclesia. Ecclesia just means groups of people. It's not demos. Demos means human groups that are demon possessed. So it doesn't really matter how you translate the word Democrat. Any ancient Greek word that could have potentially been part of that always comes out to mean ruled by demons or demon worshipers. In fact, when Jesus was on earth, he said, the Pharisees are different from the Sadducees because the Sadducees don't believe in spiritual things. And so that's another way of, recognizing that Democrats are very much like the Sadducees of Jesus' day, because most of the Democrats I know are like evolutionists or some kind of nonsense like that, or they have some kind of weird religious belief where you like sit in the woods and hit a stick on a tambourine or something. But people that like, well, if you watch anytime they have a meeting with the Republicans, they usually open with prayer. And people will come up and say, can I pray for you, President Trump? Can I pray for you, Mr. Musk? And so there is that. It's easy to recognize the difference between the Sadducees and the Pharisees and how they relate to our modern day liberals and conservatives. But the fact is that in 2019, I was possessed by an angel for all my life, for about 56 years. And I didn't even know he was there. I was always talking to myself, and I would come up with these brilliant things. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know I knew that. But then the angel that was with me, which I believe was Gabriel, but I can't prove it because I actually prayed several times for him to reveal his name to me, and he never did. Whereas a lot of times I would pray for him to reveal things to me, and he would, but he never would tell me his name. But when he left, I didn't know that he had left. I just thought I was losing my mind. Everything inside of me just got weird. And then the next day I was, after a short while, I was okay. Here's the reason I was okay. And in the book of Revelation, it says that the angels, Michael's angels, fought against the dragon's angels, and the dragon and his angels were cast out of heaven. So be joyful, you who are in heaven, but woe to the earth and the sea, for Satan has come down to you, having a very short time left. So that happened in 2019. In 2020, Lord Satan immediately re-established the Jubilee cycles, which were part of Satanic law. The law in the Bible that the Jews rejected, God's law, was replaced by the Satanic law, which is all that stuff about kosher food and stuff. But when that happened, I guess there's a feature in our solar system called Jacob's Ladder. It's the way that angels go from one place to the other. And I suspect God had to take that down, just disconnect it so that the angels couldn't go or come. And so my angel never came back. But one night, while the demons were attacking me, I started screaming and praying, and the demons were gone. And the next day, I was back to talking to myself. So I've been thinking about this a lot, like, why, how did my angel come back? And I don't think he did. I think that I was finally led out on my own, and now I am directly influenced by the Holy Spirit itself, not any individual angel. But it says that very soon Jesus will return with his angels and everything will be straightened out. So the point I'm making is, at any one time, probably half of the angels were on earth and the other half were at some other location. And half of Satan's angels were on earth and the other half in some other location. Once all of the demons realized there were no angels of the dragon left in heaven, they lost their minds. They started doing all this weird stuff. Suddenly, it's a constitutional right for a man who wears lipstick to compete in women's sports. Who comes up with this stuff? And you're like, wow, people are going to get mad about this. But once again, the Democrats are like, it's unlawful to not let women compete against women. It's like, it's not a woman. I mean, it's not. If you have a friend that is a transgender person and you want to go along with them, which is fine, that's what I do. If somebody believes they're a woman, I'm not going to tell them they're not. But competing against women in sports, that's not playing along. That's goofy. It's just goofy. Most people who are trans, well, I can't say most, but a lot of people who are trans actually think that's a stupid idea because it makes them all look bad. People don't just say, I hate trans athletes. They're like, I hate trans people. So, you don't build relationships with others by doing stuff just to mess with them. And I can't imagine, I just saw a meme. It said, in the 1940s, men lied about their age to fight World War II. In our day, men lie about their gender so they can win at sports. And that's really the way it is. But our world has completely lost the ability to function logically. But the whole thing, like I said, it's not just so much that people are attaching themselves to these weird things that they're doing, but that, like, okay, let's say all the congressmen of one particular party are stealing, and the other party is not. How does that benefit the people who vote? You know, if I vote for somebody to do something for me and they steal, I'm not voting for them next time. These people are vandalizing cars. And here's the weird thing about conservatives. Conservatives really are conservative. When somebody comes out with a newfangled gadget that costs $90,000, they shy away from it, at least for a few years, until it can be proven that the thing works. You know, because when they started this electric car stuff, there were charging station issues, and there were, you know, the fact is the batteries wouldn't go very far, so you had to stop halfway on your journey to recharge, and so conservatives are like, we don't want those things. So most of the Teslas you see are actually the property of Democrats. And so, you know, I used to ask them, I was like, why are you getting these electric cars? It's just a silly gadget. And they would be like, it doesn't pollute. Well, I mean, you got to charge it with electricity, right? Where's the electricity come from? Teslas don't pollute. I'm like, I'm not asking you if a Tesla pollutes, but what about the electricity you put into the Tesla? Teslas don't pollute. So they have no capacity to understand that it takes fossil fuel to make the electricity to charge the Tesla. It's just goofy. So now Democrats are going around destroying Democrat cars. And you're like, why would you do that? This is an innocent person. Why would you go to that person and destroy their car? Because it's Elon Musk. I'm like, that's not Elon. He sold that car. He didn't even have anything to do with that. I don't think the guy even owns the whole company. He's just like a part of it. Why in the world would someone think why would a Democrat think that destroying Democrats' cars is gonna make them happy? It's so goofy, so insanely goofy. Now Republicans are starting to buy them because they're, you know, to kind of feel like they have to pay Elon Musk back for rescuing their country, which I was always on the side of the Democrats. You know, I don't like America any more than I like Spain or France or China or Russia or any of them. So destroy it. The sooner the better. I don't care. But most people, they associate their personal life with the political system. Not anything I would do, but a lot of people do that. So if you get in a conversation with either party, the people have no idea what's going on. They don't recognize that this is a unique point in human history. We are heading for total catastrophe. I said before that I thought that the Antichrist, the one mentioned in the Quran, the Bible, many other ancient books, that the Antichrist, the man of lawlessness, would be Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, because he's like sexy guy, normal guy, brilliant, richer than Donald Trump probably. But watching Donald Trump do the stuff that he's doing, I really believe Donald Trump is the Antichrist now. I hope I'm wrong. Well, I don't really hope I'm wrong. I don't care. I don't care who the Antichrist is, as long as he gets here soon and does his deed so my King, Jesus Christ, can return. Because it says in the Bible, Jesus will not return, cannot return, until the man of lawlessness comes along and the rebellion begins. Now, I've been warning people there's going to be some kind of war, and I still think there will be. But the rebellion, I believe, is that the demons have always loved Satan. And now Satan's a Republican. So the demons should be supporting Donald Trump. I mean, I think it's very obvious that no human could do what he's doing. He's either demon-possessed or angel-possessed. And since angels and demons are both the same, and they feel the same when they're in you, he himself probably doesn't even know. But things are winding down. We're coming to the conclusion of this world. And hopefully just watching the world around you will make up for the videos I'm not producing. Because to me, this is like the greatest party ever. You know, you think about all the people that were there for Sodom and Gomorrah, for the floods, you know, the split parting of the Red Sea. We're going to see things that are exponentially greater than any of that stuff. We're at that time. You think about all the prophets who came before me, they never got to see this. In fact, most of them were tortured to death, beheaded, nailed to a stake, that kind of stuff, which I'm hoping I can avoid, because I don't want to suffer. I just want this to go as smoothly as possible, because I don't even like getting blood drawn, so I certainly don't want to be nailed to a cross or something. Anyway, I hope that encourages you, knowing that, because we really are close. This is really close. If you think about it, 2019, Satan took over, the demons were cast to the earth, that's a big deal. 2020, Satan reestablished the Jubilee. Jubilee is a 2-year cycle beginning on the spring equinox and ending on the spring equinox. You can read all about it in the Bible. It's the same thing as what they call a pandemic. It's a stoppage of work for 2 years, beginning on the spring equinox and ending on the spring equinox. There's no way in the world that could be a coincidence. All right, no script. Best I could do. Love y'all. Bye-bye. And as always, if you do not wish to survive, don't listen to me.